back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just going to solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Asura right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
SKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is he going to be able to find these shots true?
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Ambulance, immediately goes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
We're back, everybody. Week 6 of Season 17 of Console Gaming League is here. We're doing North America Masters today, a matchup between Dire Triggers and Asura. Hello, I am Gedster. Joining me for only the second time ever is Shadowfang. How you doing, man?
You know, I'm doing good, enjoying myself. It's not my second ever cast, just second ever with you. So let's, you know what I'm saying?
I feel maybe I should have clarified that a little bit better. Shadowfang's not
for the
that new.
Just so the people know. But no, I'm excited to watch this game between 2 of the upper echelon teams in this Masters tier, quite frankly. Dire Triggers, their only loss being the Shoes production crew in the mid-season tournament. Asura only having 1 loss on their record as well, so another really strong team. I don't believe did they make the mid-season? I did not check that. I don't think they did.
Honestly.
I don't think they did because it was a smaller mid-season.
It was a very small
Masters
mid-season
tier
bracket, but
yeah. So but still, they only have 1 loss. So like I said, one of the upper teams in this tier. So I would expect this to be like a relatively close game tonight.
I would expect so. Before we continue forward, though, I would like to get something on the record here, because apparently there are people who don't know what this light switch is for. It's literally just a light above my head. It's right there. Like, somebody asked me about this in the questions channel in the CGL Discord, and I'm like, what did you think the light switch was for, man? It's a light. What else is a light switch for, man? So
Hey,
just permanently, for the record.
Hey, I got light switches in my apartment that turn outlets on and off, right? Like the
Really?
outlets. Yeah. It's like a set of 3 light switches over here. 2 of them like turn on and off particular like plugins, and that's supposed to be like for if you have a lamp plugged in, you can just flip it on and off with the light switch. That's like the sort of idea with it. So that is a case in some places.
Gotcha. Well, I've literally never heard of that before, so whatever. Back on topic. We got Overwatch to talk about, everybody. So it is, as you say, this is a higher echelon match here in the Masters division in North America between a team that is currently 5-0 in their regular season games and a team that is 4-1. Now, Asura obviously having that 1 loss under their belt does mean that they're technically the underdog here. And I have heard whispers from some people saying that this could very well be a 3-0. But again, it is 2 of the higher tier teams in this division, so really could go either way.
Yeah, that's what you would think. You would think that this would be a relatively close and competitive matchup, but I mean, there is always a possibility that is not the case. I take back what I said earlier as well. Asura did make that mid-season. They lost to Blackout Eclipse in a 3-0 fashion.
Dang.
So they lost in that first round, and then Dire Triggers, of course, took a map off Shoes production crew, but did lose that series. So I would say Dire Triggers should be the favorite team here, and you know they are, just because due to the fact that they're undefeated. But I don't think it's going to be any sort of like 3-0 fashion or any sort of just dominant performance like that from Dire Triggers.
Yeah. It's very possible for sure here, but let's get this moving along a little bit here, right? We got some teams to talk about, right? Lineups, brackets, all that jazz. But first of all, map pick. And first, we're going to Samoa today. This is a map I feel like we don't get to see that often, you know? Usually it's like a Lijiang, sometimes in Ilios or something like that. I feel like we don't start on Samoa all that frequently.
No, we don't. That I'll say is the one benefit of having control be like a pre-selected map, is that we do get to see, like, progressively we'll get to see every map. So Samoa finally having its turn here in week 6, giving us some good opportunity here, and Asura going to get the first ban on this map. And the control bans are always really interesting. It really tells you a lot about like what the particular team's play style might be. Sometimes we see like a Curie Lucio, one of those two picks tend to be the ban. I've seen a Reaper get banned. I've seen Tracer. I've seen Czar, Orisa, Ramatra. It's really just about Diva. It's really just about what you don't want to play against, really, here on map 1.
Right. And this time around, it is going to be going towards that Zarya, who has been seeing a fair bit of playtime recently. Less since the most recent patch hit, and we've seen a little bit more of characters like the Diva, like the Domina sometimes. Occasionally you'll see a Ramatra, though I think he might be a little bit overvalued at the moment almost, but I think Dire Trigger's I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume it's a support ban. Which one? No idea, but I'm gonna guess Kiri before that's just my shot in the dark guess.
I'm gonna guess Tracer, actually.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess Tracer. That seems to be a very common map 1 ban. Oh, it's Ashe. Okay, I wouldn't have expected Ashe on this map. I feel like this is more of like a cast map, just because it's like very close range, generally speaking. But hey, Ashe getting banned out here on map 1 by Dire Triggers. I guess they probably, maybe in scrims, they've just run into problems with Ashe on this particular map.
Yeah, it potentially. I mean, this feels weird though, because I mean, maybe it's just one of those bans where you don't really want to ban out any of the important characters in your eyes, so that you don't have to. Maybe so that you don't burn like an important ban for later on. That's what I'm thinking initially, at very least. So, at the very least, we're going to be looking at some very interesting games here. I imagine with Sojourn still on the board, Emery still on the board, we're very likely to see one, maybe both of those characters get playtime here on this map here. But in the meantime, going over rosters here, we got JML, Deadeye, Mirage, Ghostly, and Nax playing for Dire Triggers. Meanwhile, on the other side of the server, we got Yeezus, Dong, MSR Warrior, Koso, and Irelia for Asura. Should be a banger matchup. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll say I am very excited for this as well. The team on the side of Dire Triggers, a very strong lineup. I've seen them all quite a bit in CGL. They're pretty regulars, I would say. So I would expect a really strong performance here. And again, Dire Triggers wants to keep up that undefeated streak. Seeding is still a potential thing that you're vying for at this point in the season, especially being undefeated.
Absolutely so. Especially considering Dire Triggers was not able, despite the fact that they are 5-0 in the regular season, to take away the win in that mid-season bracket. They obviously lost to Choose Production Crew very, I believe, in the second round of that tournament.
Yep.
And I mean, you don't get nearly as many bonus wins for making it that far as you do for making the grand finals. So they are jostling for every single regular season win they can get right now, because I mean, on the one hand, they want that run back with Shoes Production Crew. And on the other hand, that they want to take away the win when playoffs rolls around. But we're going into this very next match here. It's Asura, it's Dire Triggers. Let's get it going.
I never thought I'd see mirroring May Bastions from both teams. I can't say I expected that. I got to be honest, though, I like Dire Trigger's comp a lot better. Being able to have that Lucio to speed your Bastion around while he's in turret form, I think is going to be incredibly useful.
Most certainly here. I do also kind of like the selection of the Sigma more than I like the Reinhardt here. Obviously, it gets a little bit difficult for the Sigma if the Reinhardt is able to close the distance, but it's very difficult to do that when there's a Bastion melting you down in turret form here. And JML, with that early pick, puts the side of Dire Triggers in such a great position, despite the fact that he goes down pretty quickly here. All they have to do is clear this Mei, and Dire Triggers will have the first capture here.
And I mean, yeah, that was just a really great accretion, stopping MSR Warrior from really getting any value on the Rhine. That's kind of the downside of playing the Rhine while playing the Protect the President strategy. You can't really do much as Reinhardt while doing that, right? You just kind of got to stand still. And that shows in the fact that you've only got 20% ult charge so far, right? All you can do is throw fire strikes. You can't get any swings off because you got to protect Bastion.
Yeah, it's very difficult to close the distance here, and it gets even harder when you lose out on your primary source of range damage. Jesus going down so early in this fight just allows for the Dire Triggers to get even more aggressive. Look at how far forward they are right now. A charge kill goes out onto JML, but now MSR Warrior super far away from the rest of the team. And even with that very well-placed Bionade onto the Sigma, it's not 100% a one fight, but they do manage to get Mirage off the back of that one. MSR Warrior going in, swinging away, and maybe they're actually going to be able to get the flip here. There won't be a contest here. So, I mean, it's a long and drawn-out fight, but also they do end up flipping the point.
Yeah, I mean, really good fight flip for Asura just to be able to get that point in their favor. But I mean, now you got to deal with the gravitic flux, right? That's going to be a real problem here because you just don't have a defensive ult that can really do anything about that. Granted, you got the matching blizzards from either side. Both sides are basically to their artillery strikes. The only advantage you potentially have here is that nano boost. Maybe you can get a good nano onto your Rhine and get aggressive.
And out goes that first blizzard that you were mentioning. Not going to end up freezing anybody. But, I mean, Mirage on the downward approach manages to find Yeezus with the help of that accretion. Mirage finding another onto MSR Warrior, and that should just be another flip here. It was, that was a very aggressive usage of the Flux, but realistically, that's all you need. That is the only tool they used in that fight, and now they flipped it back in their favor.
I mean, like I was saying it before the fight happened, right? Gravitic Flux does a lot of damage. Oh, look at this aggressive Blizzard. God. I love this play that's coming through right now from Dire Triggers.
Oh, I dig it. I dig it heavy. MSR going down that early just means that everyone has to get either behind the bus or back into the spawn room. And, I mean, it's dangerous right now. The big momentum shifter is that MSR Warrior has that Shatter online, but it gets blocked! Mirage puts the shield up in just the nick of time. And that's a huge tool for the side of Asura completely off the board here. Yeezus also sending in the artillery barrage in the midst of all of that, but it's not going to find any value. But Yeezus on the flank manages to find two with the help of that turret form. Those could be the picks that they need to get in here, especially with MSR Warrior getting the nano boost, swinging away, finding Mirage and Nax. And that'll be another flip for Asura, but they did allow Dire Triggers to get to 99%. And, I mean, they've got 3 ultimates to work with.
Yeah, I got to be honest. They're going to wish they had that rally back at the very least. I don't know if it would have necessarily helped them, but just having something, right? Because like I said, you don't have a sustain ultimate that can help you out with this Gravitic Flux. So the same thing's going to happen that happened like 3 fights ago. Mirage is going to come in, pop this Gravitic Flux. JML is going to pop the artillery strike. They're going to just boom, boom on top of each other, and that's going to be it.
Out goes the Flux. I think it only picked up Yeezus, though. A good accretion, but the damage just isn't there this time. Bionade goes out onto Mirage and manages to keep him at least at bay for the moment, but MSR Warrior being the first to fall in the fight spells very bad news for Asura. And with everybody else basically either low on health or contesting for their lives, I mean, this shouldn't even hit 99 before Dire Triggers is able to flip it back. There might be one more touch from MSR Warrior and Yeezus, but it won't last long, and even if it does, it won't be successful, as Dire Triggers, they do take this first one in a pretty close affair, actually.
It did end up being pretty back and forth, and it seemed like a lot of times, like, Asura was having to pop just an obscene amount of ultimates to really flip the fight in their favor. And I mean, Mirage was just building ult so much faster than MSR Warrior was, right? It's just insane how much faster that Gravitic Flux was coming online than the Shatter was. But I mean, it makes total sense because, like I said, if you're Reinhardt, the only ult charge you're getting is off your fire strikes. You're never within range of swinging on this composition more often than not. Like that's just the downside of playing the Reinhardt. Now the Domina could potentially be good, but the immobility of Domina's shield, I feel like, is going to make it a little bit more difficult to play than the Sigma. Just being able to place and replace that shield all the time makes Sigma significantly easier to use with this sort of composition.
Most certainly. I think Domina is... I mean, it's very easy to say that Domina is, like, a much less flexible character than Sigma, partially because of the fact that she can't move her shield the same way he does, but I think more than that, Domina right now is not much more than a matchup check character in my book. I think she's good, don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time before teams really figure out how to play her and how to play against her. In the meantime, though, Dire Triggers managed to get the first point capture, but lose out on the first pick with Mirage going down thanks to a great Mei wall from Dong. And as a result, I mean, surely this ends up being a losing fight for Dire Triggers, but they haven't lost anybody else. In fact, Yeezus is going to be the next player to go down. There's not a whole lot of point presence right now for Dire Triggers, so there's a chance they might give up the point flip, but at this point, Mirage is walking back. He's basically arrived. And with the Bastional in tow as well for JML, this could just be a one fight for Dire Triggers despite losing out on the Sigma.
Yeah, that's a really tragic way to lose that fight because not only did you give up the flip like before anything even happened, right? So they were just gaining percentage the whole time was Dire Triggers. Then you managed to get the kill onto Mirage and then you still lose the fight anyway. So that's like the absolute worst possible thing that could have happened right there.
Yeah, that's rough. And I mean, at the very least, once again, this time around, Asura, they managed to find the first pick onto the Sigma, but this time it actually seems like they may be able to capitalize off the back of that one, despite losing Aurelia on the approach to the point. Once again, we've seen a couple of swaps come out. We've seen a couple of different characters here for the side of Asura, and I mean, so far, the Juno and the Kiri, they seem to be putting in some pretty good work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're still going to run into the difficulty of just not having that defensive ultimate for dealing with this Flux. Because, again, Mirage coming in with the Flux here. If you're Asura, you really just need to make sure you don't over-ult this fight.
Out goes the Flux, like you were mentioning. And that's going to be a whole lot of damage dealt, not by Dire Triggers, though. Asura walking away with this fight pretty definitively, despite the fact that, I mean, we've seen that Flux be the difference maker in previous fights. They don't even use a support ultimate in response to it. They still have the Orbital Ray. They still have the Kitsune Rush. And now, I mean, they've got the tools that they need to potentially drag this all the way to the third point on the beach.
Yeah, they may have to like double support ult this fight though, just because Nax is going to have this sound barrier online, and I believe the response is going to be an immediate. Yeah, Kitsune, there it is.
They're going to use it pretty quickly here, but the Panopticon comes out for MSR Warrior. A lot of damage goes out into JML as a result, and he will go down. But that Orbital Ray is what I'm looking at right now. It's looking to keep the entirety of Asura up, but Dong a little bit too far away from that AoE healing for it to matter for the Mei. MSR Warrior also very low and gets pressured off the back of the point, has to step away. Dire Triggers, they get the point flip in the meantime, and now they're going to get above that one fight territory marker of around 80%. And Asura, they just have to wait for the rest of their team to come back, but MSR goes down! Gets caught out in the worst possible time! And Dire Triggers, that could very well be their ticket to winning this first map.
Yeah, it very well could be, unless Yeezus comes through and makes a crazy play right here on this Bastion with this turret. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, though.
99% here. MSR Warrior has swapped over to the Hazard in an attempt to get back quicker and maybe have a little bit more point presence than that Domina. But Aurelia going down is so disastrous for the side of Asura. They've only got the Juno to help keep the team alive, and it's not enough to keep Yeezus healed through that Flux. Dong Waggler also going down very early in this fight. And with MSR out of the equation as well, it will be a map 1 victory for Dire Triggers.
And I mean, great map there from Dire Triggers. I really feel like, though, that Asura was... They weren't playing the objective hard enough, if that makes any sense, right? Like, they weren't forcing Dire Triggers to actually kill them to capture the point when they had it, right? And it's just... Because, again, they got, like, what, 50%? What was it, like, yeah, 50% Dire Triggers got before they actually won the first fight on that second point. You know, like, that can't happen. Like, just for lack of a better way to put it. You have to be, if you're in a fight for that first, point flip, you need to make sure that it is 0-0 and nobody captures the point, because then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we lost the fight, but they just got the point cap. They didn't already have 45% when they actually got the kills on us.
Yeah, and even with the first pick, I would like to point out, even with the first pick under the enemy tank, they weren't able to get anybody else off of the board from Dire Triggers, which is a really, really rough way to start at any point, really. It doesn't matter if it's the first one, the second one, or even the third one. You need to be able to capitalize on killing the most important member of the team. And that's the Sigma in this particular context. So a little bit of a fumble there from Asura. Despite that, I do want to say that first point, they did get to 91%. Obviously, it didn't feel like the closest affair at times, but when they did have the control of the point, they kept it for a long time. They were able to get it up above 90%. And, I mean, they can definitely pull something out on one of their own map choices here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious as to what they might actually pick for their map, because what we saw, both teams basically want to play the same sort of composition on a control map, right? But I don't imagine both teams would play that on an escort map, or even a hybrid map, right? Like, if they went Blizzard World, I can't imagine everybody's playing Bastion May on Blizzard World. Maybe they do, but I just don't see that being the case. So that just leads me to wonder, do they feel like they're a strong team on those dive style of compositions, or are they going to err more towards the brawly style maps and try and run what we just saw again? I would have to imagine they're going to go with one of these more dive style maps.
It's distinctly possible for sure. I am very curious to see where we're going in particular. Obviously, in the last few days, I know I said this on my last broadcast and it didn't happen, but I feel like we see a lot of map 2 Suravasa. That map is very quickly becoming a favorite of a lot of teams out there, but no, not this time. Once again, I am wrong. We are going to Rialto. Interestingly enough, this is not a map where I expect to see May Bastion as the DPS line, we'll put it that way.
No, I mean, that's what I was saying before, right? It's like all of our escort maps, I wouldn't really expect May Bastion on pretty much any of them. Like, maybe you could force it on a Havana or a Junkertown, but with us going to a Rialto, that leads me to think maybe we see some more of those dive styles. We saw MSR swap to Hazard for that last second touch, right? We didn't see MSR swap to Diva for the last second touch. So that leads me to think, hey, maybe we're going Rialto and we ban Diva because we want to try and force a Hazard, or like maybe make you play Winston into our Hazard. That sort of idea.
I can see it. I can definitely see it, but again, a lot of it is going to come down to the bans here, and Asura obviously having that first ban selection here. And I mean, it could really go any direction. Like you say, it could be a Diva ban here. Obviously, Diva has been one of the strongest characters in the game for the last little bit here. But, I mean, really, other than that, who do you ban? I guess you could maybe go for like an Emery ban if you really don't want to deal with that long range pressure. Sojourn for a similar reason. What even were they playing on the support line? I mean, you could definitely see like a Lucio ban potentially coming in.
You could see something like that for sure. Because they were playing the Baptiste Lucio was Dire Triggers. That was what they were playing. I don't necessarily think they're going to be playing the Sigma-based composition here. I expect to see a more Diva-style comp with like a Kiriko Lucio. That would be my expectation going into this map. So if you're Asura and you want to play your Ana Brig again, like we saw on point number 1 of Samoa, then yeah, we could ban Lucio so that we force them to play something similar to us. So I think that's really like that's the two bans that really stick out to me. Like you either go Diva or you go Lucio. Like anything outside of that, I would be surprised by, quite honestly. And here we are, bans coming through.
Oh.
Asura bans the Sigma. I feel like it's a little bit of an overreaction from map number 1. And Dire Triggers is trolling by banning Mercy.
I mean, it's again one of those situations where you got to remember they banned Ashe on map 1, and judging from the fact that both teams walk out on the brawl, I don't think they were planning on playing the Ashe anyway. So Mercy being here, again, it makes sense. I think it absolutely is one of those situations where you just don't want to burn a more important ban for potentially later in the series. But you know what else that tells me? It tells me that they're feeling very confident about making this a very quick series here, because if you actually wanted to, you know, take this seriously, if you were if this was close or something like that, then you absolutely want to make a strategic ban here. You don't just ban Mercy because you're feeling like, oh, this is a close game and the ban could actually matter here. No, you ban Mercy because you're like, we're better than them. We don't need to waste a useful ban here. Let's just get rid of a character we know they're not going to play.
All right, and you can see right there, we do have a substitution for the side of Asura. Hairball coming in for Yeezus. So, again, I'm kind of wondering here if we're going to be opting for something along the lines of almost what we see on the screen right now, right? Is the side of Asura going to be going for like a Winston-based dive with like an Ana, Brig, and a Venture? You know, I think Venture could be okay on this map. I think I would still err more towards like a Tracer with like a Sojourn. I think that's still going to be like your go-to sort of dive composition DPS lineup.
You can definitely see it here. Obviously, we'll have to wait to get into the map to see how, what exactly the lineups are going to look like in terms of hero picks here. Shout out, by the way, real quick before we continue on here. We've got Headrammer on production today, and we got Honeybee on observation duty during this match in particular. So big shout outs to them. We love our producers. We love our observers around these parts. Without them, the show literally cannot go on. We're just the faces, right? We're just the handsome devils you see on screen. The people who work behind the scenes, they're the people who I would argue might even be more important than us.
Yeah, most definitely. I can definitely agree with that, because I wouldn't be able to put any of this stuff together by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I'm saying? I just show up and I plug in this microphone and then I just start speaking on the game that I know something about.
You would hope so, that we know something about, but
just something, not much, just a thing.
just one thing. I know one thing about this game here and there. It does seem like we are going to be going into the map pretty shortly here. Thank y'all for bearing with us as we kind of stall for time a little bit. I only ever shout out the producer and the observer either at the end of the stream or when we need to fill a little bit of time before the map actually starts. But yeah, we are finally back into it, everybody. Rialto will be beginning here shortly. As a reminder, Mercy and Sigma off the board for the entirety of this map in particular here. But it looks like Dire Triggers want to roll out on something very similar to what we saw previously.
I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing the Baptiste again, honestly. It must just be so Ghostly can climb up these various walls on Rialto. Because I think the Baptiste would still serve basically the same purpose, because, you know, Mirage is now on this Ramatra, which is basically just Sigma with extra steps, right? Like he's Sigma because he just shoots projectiles all the time, but he also has the punch form where he can block things, right? It's Sigma with extra steps.
Ugh. All right. Well, getting into this second map here, we do see Dire Triggers roll out on something very similar to what we saw previously. The Mate, the Bastion, the Lucio, all returning from map 1. But Asura, they're going to be going with something completely different here. they are currently showing us a Genji and an Ashe, which, if you'll recall, was banned out previously. Maybe they are just aware of the fact that Hairball is a big Ashe fan, and I do find it interesting that we see this hero instead of something like the Sojourn, like the Emery. Both of those characters have been extremely prevalent this season, and, you know, in Sojourn's case, many seasons prior to this one.
Yeah, you're definitely right on point with that. I think the Dynamite is just going to be helpful to really just give the team a target to go on aggressively. And that's always the hardest part about breaking this first choke here on Rialto is it's just, hey, where is the killable target? We need to find somebody that's killable and just go on them with D.Va.
Yeah, but finding a killable target may not be particularly easy for Asura. Look at the way that Dire Triggers is positioned with this heavy brawl comp. Mei and Bastion and Ramatra all positioned underneath this overhang on the first building here. Meanwhile, Kiri and Lucio, two very slippery targets playing in completely different spots. And the map has kind of been flipped as it stands here. MSR is currently in the back line, just looking for any alternative like angles that you can put pressure on here. But Koso and Aurelia also falling so quickly here. And I mean, as soon as one domino falls, the rest of them are shortly thereafter. Asura just cannot complete this fight.
No, they can't. That was really close to almost being like a good bait from Asura, right? Like it kind of felt like that the MSR Warrior was just going to immediately rotate back as soon as they saw the entirety of Dire Triggers rotate onto their team. And you kind of just needed to kill somebody mid-rotation in that moment, right? Like you can't allow them to make it to your team. That's a lot of space that they have to cover, and for nobody on Dire Triggers to die is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think they maybe lost one player in the entirety of that fight. They just continually allowed for that to happen, and that's kind of rough amongst all of that. They've already lost more than 2 minutes. Over half of this time bank is completely gone at this point. And Bob, one of the other problems with Ashe is that Bob playing against this comp is just going to get melted down. Definitely not finding anybody in this particular usage of the ultimate. And with Mirage having that Annihilation online as well, it looks like this is a fight that Dire Triggers are only going to need the one ultimate to win out pretty decisively. And they're able to stagger MSR Warrior brutally. This D.Va isn't going to be back in the fight for ages.
This is a tough position that you find yourself in right now. Just because even if you were to do like a Nano Blade type of combo here, you've got to deal with the sound barrier, right? Like you don't have a very easily killable target at the moment, and that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the difficulty you've been running into this entire map. Like nobody has been killable for the side of Dire Triggers for like most of this map.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their one death is still JML in that first fight, but outside of that, I mean, Deadeye is out sniping the ranged character that we're seeing from Asura in this particular instance here. And I mean, a lot of whether or not they're going to be able to break through here depends on Dongwaggler's blade. Because, I mean, the bomb has to be utilized in order to get MSR back into the mech. Nanoblade goes out, and hopefully this can find something, but not with the beat layered on top of the Blizzard. That is a definitive full hold for Dire Triggers. I mean, this is a compositional mismatch if I've ever seen one.
I don't even necessarily know if it's the composition per se, as it's just the way it's being played, right? Like I said, Asura, the go signal for their composition is the anti-nade, right? But if you're constantly being pushed into a position where your Ana doesn't have a sight line to land a good anti, well, your go signal is now gone, right? You may as well be playing Kiriko Lucio at that point, because the reason you play Ana is to get those sick antis off so that it gives you a target that you can kill with your dive. That wasn't able to be happening, so you know, you're just stuck in a situation where everybody's full HP for the side of Dire Triggers, and they have Mei Bastion, so you have a lot of cooldowns that you have to go through before you can actually finish anybody off.
Yeah, it's rough. It's real rough out here for Asura. They are now basically forced to do something very similar to what Dire Triggers was doing, and I mean, we see that come out here. The only major difference is that we don't see a Bastion this time around. There is, in fact, just going to be the Mei that's similar to what Dire Triggers was doing, and the Lucio, I suppose. But big difference. We're seeing Vendetta. And as much as I like Vendetta, as much as I think she's a very good character, I think that she is going to struggle immensely into what Dire Triggers are showing right now. Ghostly on the cat is just going to be out of her range the entire time. Never mind on the Kiri, never mind. But JML, Deadeye, both going to be characters that, I mean, what can Vendetta do about that? You can't take a Pharah out of the sky as this Vendetta character. You can't do anything about the Widowmaker. And it looks like there will be swaps. Okay, I saw Junkrat and got scared for a moment, but I think maybe Vendetta can do a little bit more into the composition that they're showing now. But I still am not super confident in the pick, right? Dire Triggers have been playing phenomenally with this composition for the entire series so far. And I think it's going to take more than just one Vendetta swap to do anything about it.
Yeah,
That's a good start, though.
I think you've got like a mismatch type of composition here as well, right? Like, it may, in theory, works really well with the Malga, but I would much rather see like a Reaper or a Genji. Like either one of those two, I think would be very beneficial. Namely Reaper. Like I don't know. I'm a big Reaper fan. If I'm playing Malga, I want a Reaper with me.
Entirely fair. I think Reaper could potentially be useful here, but I mean, so far, it's working out decently well for the side of Asura, but you gotta keep in mind, one of the big problems is that Asura, on their attack, took a really, really long time. More than half of the 4 minutes they had to lose the first fight. Meanwhile, Dire Triggers, they just got past the 1 minute mark, and they're about to hit the 1:30. It is a much more time-efficient approach so far from Dire Triggers. And, I mean, they've lost this second fight in just as much time as it took for one fight to happen previously.
Oh, that's tough, though. You just lost Aurelia.
That's bad.
Right? And you used your sound barrier, so like you don't even have anything to really sustain you until your Kiriko gets back. So, like, Dire Triggers can just walk up and drop a Kitsune right now and potentially just run them over.
This could very well be it. That's going to be a lot of damage going out because of the artillery barrage, but in goes the Blizzard from Dire Triggers, and that should just do it. Getting rid of the Mei and the Malga, those are two of the characters you wanted gone soonest. And yeah, everybody else falls very shortly thereafter. Another map win here for Dire Triggers, and this one did not feel nearly as close.
No, it really felt like Asura. It feels like Dire Triggers knows what they want to do with their comp, and Asura doesn't know what they want to do with their comp, right? Like, that's what it felt like for that entire attack. Like, they were consistently trying to push, but like I said, one of the key win conditions if you're playing the Ana with the dive is the ante, right? The antes have to be coming through consistently and just onto some sort of target, right? Just because you need to have a killable target, basically.
Yeah, that one was rough, and hopefully Asura, they know what they want to do going into the next one here, but we will have to wait for a little while and see what their next move will be, because we are going to be taking it to a very short break. But when we come back, map number 3 here in this Masters Division match, not playoff. If Asura wants to begin the makings of a reverse sweep here, it will have to start on map number 3. We are going to Suravasa next, and not really a shock. If there's a Flashpoint map that gets picked, it's usually Suravasa. I'm still waiting for everybody to come around on the other two, but for now, Suravasa seems to be the favorite amongst most people who play Overwatch in general. So.
Yeah, it's like the default. It's because I think it's because all the points are very simple to play. I think that's why everybody just ends up rolling with it. Because I think New Junk City is relatively simple to play too. There's just a lot more angles on that map as opposed to on Suravasa. Asura are gonna get the first ban here. I would say based on the end of that last round, they're probably gonna be opting to go with like a Malga style composition. So I think you should ban a tank here of some sort, just so the other side of Dire Triggers can't ban your Malga.
But similarly, I would not at all be shocked if we saw a Lucio ban here. We've seen that Asura are more inclined to play that Juno than they are the Lucio, particularly from that first map, so that is definitely a possibility for them. Either way, we'll know very shortly here.
They could ban Bastion or May also. That's also a thing.
You called it. You called it. You done did it. You called that.
I was like, that is another thing they could do. But again, if I'm Dire Triggers, I'm banning your Malga. Like, what? That's like, I just watched you play Malga on defense. Like, no. Like, that would basically be my response if I was the other team. Now maybe Dire Triggers doesn't care if they play Malga, right? I just know that if I was on Dire Triggers, I'd be like, hey guys, they just tried to play this thing. Like, let's not let them do that.
Of course, they could also ban the Juno, which is what they're gonna go with here. That was gonna be a different thought, and then I saw the Juno on my screen. So please don't view me as someone who can see the future here. Juno just. This one does actually make sense here. For the first time in this series, we see Dire Triggers make a ban that actually seems like has a purpose, right? Because like I was saying, Asura was very inclined towards playing that Juno in the previous map of Samoa. That's what the map is called. I completely forgot the name of the map for a moment. But yeah, it does make sense. It kind of forces both of these teams to be playing the Lucio, which, I mean, on the one hand, if you're Asura, you haven't been playing the Lucio that much, and I think it'll help having that sound barrier available, but on the other hand, it's like, you haven't been on it. Is that because you're not comfortable on it?
There's no telling. We do have a couple of substitutions. Nadause going to be coming in on that DPS line for Dire Triggers, and Xana going to be coming in on that support line for the side of Asura. This is a map, just seeing that Nadause has that Venture selected as their favorite hero. This is a map where we could see Venture, right? It's that sort of flat style map. And, catching somebody with Ramatra slow and then just bursting all of them out of the ground with that Venture Burrow can be a very strong combo. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of the pivot Dire Triggers does now that they don't have that Bastion May available to them.
It is distinctly possible for sure here. I have been given recon from my producer, though, that we are probably going to be seeing Zarya Vendetta on this map here. Shout out Headrammer for the reconnaissance, for the intelligence. We love to see it. But I mean, Zarya Vendetta, it would make a lot of sense. That is one of those combinations that we saw a lot of last season when Vendetta came out, because, I mean, Zarya obviously having the bubble enables the Vendetta to play a lot more aggressively, stay in fights for a lot longer, allows you to just play the way Vendetta was meant to be played, When they announced Vendetta and was like, yeah, we've made this new flanker character, I saw her kit and I was like, I don't think that's a flanker. I don't think that's a flanker. I think she just front lines. I think
Yeah.
she might just front line.
Yeah, it's really odd to me that she falls into that flanker category because I was like, I don't think I've ever gotten a health pack when I'm playing Vendetta. Like I don't,
No.
because it's just like you're not really in that area to do that. You kind of use the mobility to run away more than anything. Like you don't tend to use the mobility to get to a health pack. So I don't know. I think obviously she can't be some of the other DPSs because they have like reload speed. What are you gonna do? Like swing your sword a little bit faster when you get an elimination? Is that the alteration that they make in that regard? But hey, Zarya Vendetta, I'm so down for it. I
I'm very down.
I haven't seen it in a little while, quite honestly. Like teams seem to be airing more away from that. Just I think it's mostly due to the overhead swing getting that damage reduction in like was it like 2-3 patches ago now?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like you can get that same level of value out of a Reaper still, but it seems like teams have just opted away from that Reaper the further we've come along.
Yeah, I think that Vendetta, despite the nerf, is still a very strong character. Like, let's not get it twisted. That 10 damage reduction on overhead swing is impactful. It does change a lot of her breakpoints for individual, like, 1v1s against certain characters. But let's not act like that doesn't make her still a very good character in coordinated environments. Sure, losing 10 damage hurts when you're in solo queue, when you're just trying to take one-on-one fights that are isolated from the rest of your team, but when you're fighting with a Zarya that is coordinated and you know exactly when each of the bubbles are coming in, it's still going to be deadly. Especially when you just jump in like that, find an overhead onto the Lucio, and immediately your team is there to follow up. Dire Triggers, that should just be an easy first half.
Yeah, that's tough too because, like I said, if you're Asura, you haven't run away or really done anything, and you gave up the point anyways. So like, you I don't know. You just need to make sure you don't die here if you're Asura going into this next fight. Great bubble usage though from Dire Triggers. I love that combination.
I mean, it's fairly simple at this point, man. You just played Zarya Vendetta the way that it's been played since Vendetta came out last season. JML in the background, by the way, very quietly putting up easily the highest amount of damage in the lobby so far, up to 90% towards that overclock already. And with MSR Warrior going down so soon in this fight, that's going to be a very, very hasty retreat for the side of Asura. They've really only got one more shot at this first point.
Yeah, they do, and they're walking into a lot of ultimates when they do it. The side of Dire Triggers has the overclock. They're basically to grab and to sound barrier as well. Asura will have a Kitsune rush to potentially engage this if they want to, but I think this is going to be an expensive fight for both sides.
It very well could be here. I fully expect there to be a grab, and there will be. It's thrown out and very nearly takes MSR out. Eventually, it will go down, and yeah, okay. 0 ultimates invested for Asura. I think that is the correct play here because, I mean, once you get hit by the grab, it becomes very, very difficult for you to come back in that fight. I mean, maybe if you'd invested the beat, there would have been a chance, but Zana opting not to do that. Instead choosing to just wait on this second point here, see if you can maybe get a good engagement off the back of the beginning of this next fight.
Oh my goodness, and there's a lot of ultimates that are going to be coming through in this fight. I bet both teams are going to drop both their support ultimates. The overclock is going to come through. We're going to have a blizzard. This is going to be a lot.
This is going to be the expensive fight that I think you were expecting on the previous point here, Shadow. And I mean, the only real question is what comes first? Is it going to be one of these beats to engage? Oh my goodness, Zana very nearly goes off the edge of the map, but will be saved by the ability to wall ride. The Deadeye is going to be the one ultimate that finds the first pick here. Asura finally getting some progress on a capture objective, but I mean, it was as we expected. A very expensive fight here. The only thing they don't use is that sound barrier, and you are happy to hold on to that one because there is a very dangerous overclock coming up here, but that barrier is not going to do anything against that Vendetta ultimate.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, the Sundering Blade coming through could be the difference maker here. It could be, but I do think, like you said, a well-timed sound barrier can be valuable enough to deny 2 ultimates. The overclock already coming out from JML.
Yeah, overclock is out and active, and notice that with the oh no, not the Ajax at the worst possible moment. That's so tragic. A 150 power railgun shot directly to the gut, and Zana gets sent back to the spawn room. JML, though, does end up going down, despite the fact that the Ajax goes through. Asura, they have managed to hold on to the point. They've pushed Dire Triggers back, and they do... I mean, Dire Triggers should be able to get back to this for at least one more fight here, but it's not going to be a clean one. They have to get in and stay contesting for as long as possible. No ultimates, though, for Asura to continue this fight for very long. Out goes the Sundering Blade that we were expecting earlier. It doesn't connect onto anybody as Asura just backs around corners, but I mean, it shouldn't matter anyway. Not a use managing to find a rare multi-kill with that spinning ability that I can't remember the name of. And Asura, they're forced back.
I mean, that was just great. That was a great engage from Dire Triggers, right? They saw Yeezus go down late in that last fight, and they used that to re-engage, because Yeezus has just been a menace on this cast so far. Early grab coming through. I don't know. Are they able to? Oh, what a great combination that is to get on that grab.
Yes. Whirlwind Blade, that's what it's called. But, I mean, 2 kills from JML, 3 from Not a Use there, and that is a clean team kill, a very fast team kill. And fortunately for Asura, the fact that they all go down that soon means they do have time for one more fight here on this point. But again, they really don't have a lot of tools to work with. They have the Blizzard and they have the Kitsune Rush. But outside of that, it would take a rather extended fight for Yeezus or MSR to get one back. But that's a really good start. Not a Use going down early means that there definitely will not be a Sundering Blade for Asura to have to deal with here. The beat goes out, but it's a little bit too late. Nax, maybe a little bit of a blunder here, and that's going to be a point for Asura, almost certainly. Everybody going down here. Not a Use is the only person left standing who could even maybe make it back, but it will not happen. It's going to be 1-1 going into our next point here.
Yeah, great fight coming through from Asura right there. They just solo out Mirage with the Blizzard. And yeah, I'm just surprised that Dire Triggers wasn't able to save Mirage in that moment. It really seemed like you might have been able to have the tools there to do so, but just tough fight to lose. And now coming into this next fight, Sundering Blade Overclock is going to already come out from JML here super early.
And that's exactly when you want to be using this ultimate in a given fight here. I think that Overclock is one of the best ultimates in the game for engaging on a fight. Unfortunately for the side of Dire Triggers, they don't really get anything off the back of it. In fact, Yeezus is going to be the first one to go down in the entire fight. No. He gets the first pick, but then immediately goes down nonetheless here. I think that really should have been a beat engage after the Overclock went down from Zana. But, I mean, the other ultimates get expended. Dire Triggers, they managed to get the point back, but at very least, Asura gets 19% out of that. But, yeah, that probably should have just been a beat engage.
That may have been able to win them the fight, honestly. Aurelia catching out JML, though, is exactly what you need to re-engage this. It shouldn't even cost you any ultimates since you got that valuable kill right there.
Yeah, definitely not here. I mean, get in and hopefully take a pretty aggressive fight here. You shouldn't need anything, but they do engage with the sound barrier, and Zana opting not to use the beat to try to keep this one going. That's just going to be another fight win for Dire Triggers, despite the fact that Aurelia manages to get that really good pick at the very beginning. However, MSR does manage to find, I believe, both of the supports in that fight. Maybe one support and a DPS. So there was maybe a little bit of a question mark at the end of that one, but eventually, Dire Triggers, they managed to make it back to the point. Ghostly going to be expending this Kitsune Rush. And now with 90% in building, Asura, they have to find a way back onto this point here. 98, 99, they do trigger overtime here, and the beat finally is used here by Zana. And that should just be the fight win, right? Not a Use in Nax going down means that there is just no sustain, there's not a lot of damage, and Mirage is not going to be able to contest the point for very long here. So with Ghostly going down, that is a definitive fight win for Asura. But, I mean, it felt a little bit too late.
We'll see. We'll see. They have the ultimates in line to potentially do something here. I think Nax's sound barrier could be incredibly crucial for Dire Triggers in this next fight. Honestly, Dire Triggers needs to win this next fight if they want to take this point. If they don't win this next fight, I think it's going to be too tough to win the fight after this one.
If there even is a fight after this one. I love the positioning of that ultimate from the Mauga though, and all of the ultimates are positioned so well from Asura. Everyone using it very, very well in that particular instance here, but it still ends up being a scrappy fight. Nax on this Lucio finding 2 picks, and Ghostly finding another! It's just MSR and Zana remaining on the point here for Asura. They have to keep this one alive if they want the rest of their team to get back, but Zana's hunted down! Taken out by Ghostly, and that's given the rest of Dire Triggers enough time to come back. They've got the point. Surely nobody from Asura can get back in time to keep this one going. It's somehow a fight win for Dire Triggers.
Yeah, that was a 4v2 that the 2 won, and the 2 were the support players. So that was a fantastic flip from Nax and Ghostly. Like, I mean, that was absurd for them to turn that on its head like they did. I mean, crazy work. And you got Kitsune for this next fight, giving your team like an insane advantage going in here.
And Asura have nothing. They're still 20% off of Zana's sound barrier. They have to get in on this one, and they have to find a pick very quickly. JML is gonna go down though. That's so huge. So much damage gone now for the side of Dire Triggers. Not a use, doesn't have the Sundering Blade to work with, so this is almost certainly going to be a first point capture on this 4th point for the side of Asura. They get it off the back of phenomenal target prioritization onto that Sojourn who was so far away, but now they have to continue to hold on.
And I mean, the double negative here for Dire Triggers is that they managed to build up to their Kitsune Rush now too, so they can match you.
The sound barrier goes out from Zana. I really like the reactive barrier there just to basically entirely counter the Vendetta engage. Unfortunately, despite the fact that they get a very good first pick, it's still not going to go the way of Asura here. 55% and building is about all they're going to get before Mirage is able to clean up this point and get the flip. 64 is where they end up, but I mean, that was a beautifully played fight despite being down a man early from Dire Triggers.
Yeah, I mean, it's great engage from them, knowing just exactly where to go. The Kitsune, getting the extra healing out, getting the extra Suzus available to your team. I'm going to be watching for Mirage's grab this fight because they've been incredibly good pretty much throughout the entirety of this map.
Absolutely, they have been. And there's no sound barrier to counteract it this time around from Asura either. A lot of damage, though, going out onto the Zarya very early on, thanks to the silver bullet, but the second one after the bubble is gone, doesn't quite connect. There is going to be a touch from Asura. They could potentially flip the point here, but at very least they've isolated away the Zarya, who's very low, but does pop that grab, like you were mentioning. Beat goes in though from Nax just to try to keep everybody alive through that, but the cage and the blizzard combine to keep everybody locked up in one spot, whether it be in that cage or somewhere in it, just frozen. And that's going to be a point flip for Asura at possibly the most crucial time they could have had it.
Yeah, that is great from Asura. They have a Kitsune to engage this next fight with, and all they have is not a use's Sundering Blade. That is going to come out early here. And instant death occurs for not a use.
And that's such a crucial shot for Yeezus to hit in that particular instance there. Another one onto JML. This Cassidy simply cannot at the moment. We're going to be going all the way to a point number 5 here on Surapasa, everybody. Asura are not done yet.
No, they are not. And the ults are starting to look more even, I would say. Like, they were heavily leaning towards the favor of Dire Triggers on, like, the first point. But since then, they've kind of evened themselves out, right? Like, we usually have a sound barrier now to match a Kitsune Rush, at the very least. So Zana already engaging with that sound barrier super early here.
And I like that from Zana. Yeah, obviously, that Lucio having that new passive that lets you charge another ultimate while you're already on it. But Zana not very far towards another one as it stands here. As nothing else though, Asura have gained so much advantageous positioning off the back of that one, but no picks coming out quite yet. Zana does finally find JML, and now Dire Triggers on the back foot once again here, missing out on 3 players while only losing out on a couple, but both tanks, I believe. No, just one tank out of the equation. Mirage still alive. And there could be a point capture here for Asura, but how long might that last with just the Mei there to defend it? But are you kidding, Mirage? You can't just stand next to a Mei while she has that perk! What are you doing?
I say that's actually so funny to watch Mirage lose 200 HP with it.
Yeah, that perk does deceptively high amounts of damage here, but I mean, more high amounts of damage are going to be poured out by Dire Triggers, despite the fact that they lose that Zarya in maybe the silliest way possible. They do get the point flip at about 40% for Asura, but that's such a crucial 40% for them to have.
Yeah, for them to be able to get that much and not really definitively win that fight. Like they just got like a couple of kills and then they just backed up, captured the point. You know, Dire Trigger's gonna have 4 ultimates coming in here. Everything but that Connect Rush, huge cage coming through from MSR Warrior though.
Yeah, it's a big cage, but the problem is you've lost Aurelia early in this fight thanks to a railgun from JML, and JML is gonna continue to find crucial shots in this one with MSR Warrior also losing out on their life. This is finally going to be one fight territory in favor of Dire Triggers. One more fight and they have sealed up this sweep. But Asura, I mean, they could potentially take this one away. The problem is they just don't have any ults to work with. So it is looking, for lack of a better term, dire.
Huh. I get it, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for sure because you just don't have anything, right? Yeezus might be able to get up to this Deadeye, but that's about it. Overclock already coming out here from JML.
Oh, it's over.
One immediately.
Oh, that's a problem. Zana was so close to the sound barrier, only 20% away from possibly the most crucial defensive ultimate you could have in this instance. A point flip comes through for Asura. I mean, if this fight continues, if it goes on long enough, maybe that ends up mattering a lot. The problem now becomes holding on to this point. Can you do it? MSR Warrior goes down, so that seems like the answer might be a no. Aurelia also expending that Kitsune, but it won't be enough to keep the rest of the team alive. Dire Triggers have done it. They will seal up this sweep, despite Asura making the Surabasa so close. It simply will not be enough. Dire Triggers move to 6-0 on the season. They look to continue their perfect record outside of the mid-season bracket. They want to make sure playoffs is better, and they want to make sure they have the best possible position moving into the postseason. And this is another step towards that.
Yeah, this is certainly a good step in the right direction, I would say. You know, great game coming out from Dire Triggers. It really just dominating all 3 maps, quite frankly. Samoa had its close moments, and this map, I would say Suravasa was actually really good for the side of Asura because they just were able to, they had the ultimates, right? Asura was really good in ult fights. When there were fights without ultimates, it seemed like a lot of times Dire Trigger was getting that first elimination. But so if Asura can just figure out how to play those neutral fights a little bit better, I think they'll improve significantly as the season goes on.
Yeah, and I think that maybe if there isn't a couple of misused ultimates throughout the fight there, particularly that third point for Asura, frankly, they should have won that. They should have won that third point, which probably would have snowballed into them winning the entire map based on the next couple of points. But that's not the reality we're living in. I think the sound barrier was held onto for way too long. I think they needed to use that way sooner, and I think they needed to not lose at 2v4 on the point. Like, are we serious? Like, come on.
Well, it does happen sometimes, you know, but still, kudos to Asura. You definitely had your moments there. We can definitely see that there is potential for sure for this team to move up in the ranks of this tier. Like you said, Dire Triggers moving on to that 6-0 mark. And especially because there's so many good teams in this tier, it's really important that you have a good map differential if you're trying to get one of the higher seeds. So getting that 3-0 in particular, I think, is pretty important for Dire Triggers for their seeding.
It absolutely is. And when we come back, we are going to be having a conversation with the Dire Triggers. Obviously, they've taken the victory, so they get the interview. And from what I heard earlier, 2 of them want to come on and have an interview. So stay tuned, everybody. We're going to have a couple voices from the Dire Triggers on after this break. Welcome back, everybody. We got Nax and we got Ghostly here from Dire Triggers, our winning team today, for a brief interview here at the end of our broadcast. How are you fellas doing today?
I'm okay.
Doing all right, doing all right. Love to hear it, fellas. Congrats again on the win. And we're gonna start with a question from me. And I would like to ask what your guys' thoughts are, just very generally speaking, on Samoa, because that is a map that we don't typically see a lot of teams start on. Most people who play Control first, obviously, they want to play something like the Ilios, the Lijiang, you know, one of the comfort picks that's been in the game for a long time. So, what do you guys feel comfortable on Samoa? Do you regularly scrim it? What do you feel about that map?
We've been scrimming a lot of Face-It teams as of late, and their map pool doesn't have Samoa. So we kind of went into it a little raw, not gonna lie. Samoa's strange.
It's a weird map. definitely strange. So you just went into that one. Obviously, you played a lot of like you and the Asura ended up playing a very similar composition there. But you guys rolled out. I believe you guys were the team on the Sigma for the entirety of the map. So walk me through how you played the Sigma specifically against. You know, when you see the Reinhardt, when you see the Domina, does the approach change a little bit in that instance?
I mean, with the Reinhardt, you put your shield behind him, and then you wall behind him, and then you walk a little bit faster than usual. And Reinhardts don't like that at all.
What a main support talking.
Yeah. Domina's different. For sure.
Yeah. All right. Entirely valid.
Yeah. So, all right. So my question is actually going to revolve around Servasa. Actually, how did the two of you flip the 2v4 that you had on that point? How'd that happen exactly?
I'll let you take this one.
What was the exact sequence that occurred?
Hold on, you give me the mic for this?
Yeah.
Oh no. I'd like to thank whoever at Blizzard in their right mind gave Carrie the ridiculous headshot multiplier that she had. That and whatever RNG gets put into my computer whenever I right click and wall frame. I think that's the only piece that could go through my head. I just show up and play, man. I don't really know. As for where Nax spawned out of, no clue.
I don't know, man. Like, my tank just ran far side. I saw 3 people were 1. I tapped 2. Ghostly imaginatively find somebody. And then we're 2v2ing Amalga Lucio. So, and then my Vendetta showed up out of nowhere. So it was like a really interesting sequence, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun sequence to witness because, like I said, us as the casters were like, oh yeah, Asura's winning this fight 100%, and then they just didn't. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem right. But you know, good. That was a great flip on y'all's part. And then honestly, with y'all being 6-0 now, you know, are there any teams that are really like you want to play again in the tier? Obviously, you lost to Shoes Production Crew in the mid-season tournament. Is there any other team that you're really just looking forward to potentially playing against?
Me personally, like, I'd like to see Blackout in a lobby. Obviously, Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts would be interesting. Shoes again would be interesting. Yeah. Cosmic Eclipse again, I think would be fun.
I need to play Mist for that Bat 1v1 that's been going over the DM. I need that.
Yeah, fair enough. My last question was actually going to be about that mid-season run where obviously you did very well in your round 1 sweeping Jade Eagles, but losing out to Shoes Production Crew 3-1 there. And that's kind of that's a really unfortunate loss to take because despite the fact that you are 5-0 in the regular season, now 6-0 actually with this win, that one loss is a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. So obviously the run back against them would be cool, but do you guys have any particular focus towards the playoffs for once you get there? Obviously you win 3-0 today and that puts you in a very good position seeding wise, but do you have any particular like thing you want to focus on when you actually get to those playoffs to prevent something like an early exit, like what you saw in mid-season happen again?
Well, mid-season was interesting versus Shoes. Like, we were kind of shutting out a little bit, just a little bit, and then like most of the maps were like 99-99, like OT on King's Row. Like, I mean, it was close enough, and then they get like, I can't swear on stream, can I? Anyways, they get swept over 3-0 fashion, and I'm like, all right, is this really the same team? Or Headrammer's chiming in.
Some excuses right now.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think just going into it, we just focus on ourselves. I mean, me personally, I will take the fault for that because I didn't do my job very well, especially on the Kings Row, watching it back with our coach Soren. I definitely made a lot of micro and macro errors that I've hopefully fixed some of them. He might chew me out later, but it's fine. But yeah, I'll take a brunt of that. But we definitely, it shouldn't have been that egregious of a 3 straight map losses. But I'm definitely looking forward to playing A to me face again. Like I joke about it all the time. I just show up and play, man. I mean, you just gotta have that mentality.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in for the interview. Real quick before we let you go, though, is there anybody you would like to give a quick shout out to before we send you on your way?
Shout out my moms.
Shout out.
Thank you to Overmind. Thank you, Pookie.
Big.
Josie?
Big.
Shout out the podcast, I guess. If
Shout out
anyone watching CGL doesn't know, if you want to get more involved, definitely watch the podcast.
True. Very
yeah,
true.
I mean, pretty good content in there. Pretty good motivation. But yeah,
Fire.
thank you to the production team. You guys don't get enough credit for it.
True. Big shout outs once again to the production team that we had on today. Big ups to them and big ups to you guys for the W and putting yourself in a really good position towards the end of the season. We will let you guys go now, so have a good rest of your day, fellas.
Thank you, you too as well.
Gang.
All right.
Gang. All right. Well, that's it for us then. Shadowfang, it's been a very short series, but a fun one regardless. So, it's time for us to say our goodbyes. Is there anything you would like to say to the people before we get on out of here?
Same thing I always like to say. Keep your eyes glued to those notifications within the Discord server and whether or not you're following the channel, because, we're always going to have games. We try and have games every day from Wednesday through Sunday every single week during the regular season, and then that increases, of course, during the playoffs.
Indeed. We are going, we're getting very close to those playoffs, by the way, so get excited, because CGL is about to get a lot more exciting, and hopefully a lot closer with some of these series. But that's besides the point. I have been Genster, Shadowfang has been joining me today, and we will see you all next time CGL goes live.